It is incredibly satisfying to come to a difficult obstacle and attempt it maybe 3 or 4 times, and then after that you'll get up it, you'll go around it, you'll figure out the way over it, and it's a very deep satisfaction being able to do that.
Would you say that it's improved your mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Just having something to constantly work on, too, because, like I said, it's not only when you're out on the hikes. When you come back from the hikes, you may have broken something, or you may think of a modification. It just gives you something to constantly work on and work towards.
Constant self-betterment, huh?
Absolutely.
Hello, and welcome to Annii Gets Healthy. I'm your host, Annii K., and as always, I would like to welcome you to my hour of health, wellness, and positivity. As you may or may not know, I would not be here expressing my passion to you had I not dramatically changed my life 2 years ago. Since beginning my journey to better health, I have experimented with many aspects of lifestyle and types of physical activity to feel optimal. After coming a long way, I feel that I have gained a lot of knowledge from reflecting experientially on my lifestyle. This inspired my desire to create this show in an attempt to spread these ideas and hopefully inspire my fellow Newfoundlanders to push towards better health for all of us. I'm also excited to make new connections through this new chapter of my life. Many of these people express interest in extending the conversations to this show, further to spread awareness of many important aspects of health. We will see a very unique perspective on movement this week, as Memorial student Max Flynn will join us today. He has a very interesting way to get people moving in the outdoors that we will learn about a little bit later. As always, I would like to clarify that I am not a physician, dietitian, personal trainer, or any licensed health professional. All of the opinions expressed on the show are just that, opinions. I may occasionally cite books, articles, and journals, but I do encourage you to do your own research to gain a balanced perspective. My guests will express their own opinions based on their research, but the same disclaimer applies to those as well. If you do decide you would like to make changes in your life, I urge you to speak with a physician for advice that meets your particular health needs. All of our bodies are different. Dramatic changes taken on too quickly can be detrimental to your health, so please do take caution. You may agree or disagree with what is said on the program. Regardless, I love to hear what's on your mind. The best way to chat with me is via Instagram. You can find me there or on Facebook at Annii Gets Healthy. That's ANNII Gets Healthy. Or you can email me at anniegetshealthy@gmail.com. Share your agreements, disagreements, constructive feedback, or a movement or recipe you think I should try out. I love to share ideas in any medium they can be housed upon. Before I start the show this week, I want to just have a really personal moment between you and I. I had a rough weekend, I'll be honest with you. It sucked. Coming back to life now with a more positive view of things, but I haven't mentioned this on the show previously. I might get into it in a later episode, but when I was losing weight in my first 4 or 5 months, I think I dropped the first 35 to 40 pounds really fast. And I had a doctor who urged me, you should slow down a bit or else you're going to get gallstones. And I said, no, I feel fine. And a few months later, sure enough, I had my first gallbladder attack after one of my first cheat meals. So I learned that I could no longer eat a lot of deep fried, just any really oily foods. I can do fats. It took me a long time to learn what fats I could and couldn't do, but the saturated ones do tend to make me ill. So over the past, year and a half, I've definitely made adjustments in my diet, and for the most part am happy and have a good quality of life, and I don't get sick too often. Of course, I've had many, restaurant meals that upset me, but lately I've been doing pretty well with that. For once, it was a bit of overindulgence at home and too much coconut oil in my cooking that really did it for me, and so I've just been I had it like 2 really off days. So I just want to throw out some of the things that I do when I'm feeling sick, things that maybe can help you. I'm not big on taking a bunch of pills anymore because, I have, and I feel like I'm doing more harm to my stomach than good at this point. So the thing I'm really big on is ginger, cutting up some slices of ginger, boiling that for a while, And it is very hot. I have to kind of grimace sometimes when I swallow it, but I can definitely feel the impact of that. But hot water in general feels really good on my stomach. As well, I find that green tea aids in digestion, and lemon balm is an herb that I'm very fond of, is really great for relaxation. And of course, chamomile is another great herb for relaxation that you should definitely try out if it suits you. When it comes to pain itself, I'm really big on heat. So whether that be a heating pad, a hot water bottle, or a bath, Epsom salt bath, whatever may work for you, I find those really helpful. Another thing, no matter what kind of pain you may have, now this is more muscular, but I do get some muscular pain with this as well. I'm really big on using a TENS machine. The one that I use is Dr. Ho's. I find that's the best one that I've used, but you can find them on Amazon for relatively cheap. You see the bigger versions of them, like the giant ones used in physiotherapists' offices, but these little ones are really great. You know, be gentle when you start, otherwise you're gonna zap yourself. But no, they're good machines. And so all of these things, and a bit of fasting when I know I'm not hungry and I don't need food, has really helped me out. So today I'm trying to get myself back into the normal. I had a good arm workout today, considering. Very light. One of the very rare days that I'm doing a high-carb, low-fat approach, and it is definitely helping because I'm giving my body a bit of time before I put it through all the fats and everything again, and through making smoothies and a little chocolate shake that I'm having now. I'm hitting that protein macro that I need after a good workout. So that's where I am right now. I did need a minute to vent about that. To anybody out there who has gallstones, who has any sort of pain issue that can reduce your quality of life, these are things that I do. Please get in touch with me if you have things that work for you. I would love to hear about them. So in a moment, we are going to get Max on, and we're going to get right into what he does. But before we do that, I'm going to take a really quick break, the first break of the hour. So stay tuned. Annii Gets Healthy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Annii Gets Healthy. I'm Annii K, and this week I'm joined by Max Flynn to talk about how he gets people moving. Welcome to the program, Max.
Thanks for having me.
So just to get started, let's just learn a bit about you. Where are you from?
I was originally born in Labrador City, but my family moved to Fort Collins in Colorado a week before I turned 1. So I grew up in Colorado, but have recently moved back to Newfoundland last year to go to school here at MUN.
Oh, cool. Colorado. That must have been a lovely place to grow up.
Oh, I absolutely loved it there. Colorado's a beautiful state with fantastic weather.
So you must have had, a lot of great, walking locations there to tackle. Did that inspire your love of hiking at all?
Absolutely. My family hiked a lot as I was growing up. We'd go out to we had some local parks, some state parks, and some other beautiful national parks in Colorado that we'd visit pretty often. Definitely helped me develop my love for it.
So on the whole, growing up, were you an active kid?
I'd say about half and half. I started out decently active when I was younger, got into video games, and got a little bit less active for a while.
I hear you.
Yep, but after that, I'd go out biking occasionally. But I'd say I wasn't super active, but I'd occasionally go out and do something active, maybe once a week at least.
So not a lot of team sports, but a lot of personal stuff.
Yeah,
I was the same way myself, so I definitely hear you. And also, like you, discovered video games and went down that road, and certainly was not very active from that point forward for some time, but obviously that's changed, thus my being here and talking about all the things that I talk about.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, from what I understand, this is your first semester at Memorial, correct? Oh, you're third. So what are you studying?
I'm studying computer science now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we could get into this off air, because I was in IT for 7-8 years, and
awesome.
I started studying computer science here, and then I went to College of the North Atlantic where I did programmer analyst. So you're liking comp sci?
Oh, absolutely. I originally was coming in to do some form of engineering, but after I took the first computer science introductory class for fun, I just loved it so much. I knew it was what I had to do.
So I guess with your original desire to go into engineering, and now what you're doing in computer science, that must fuel a lot of your love for building the trucks, as we're going to discuss in a minute.
Oh, absolutely, and especially now with I have a 3D printer now, so I'll design a lot of the pieces I 3D print off my truck.
I feel that I've rushed right into the nitty-gritty of it, but I do want to get into exactly what you do, because I feel like I haven't mentioned that quite enough. So, I heard about what you do, Max, through an academic advisor of mine who said, I know this guy, and he has this really unique way of getting people to go on hikes. So can you please share with us what your method is to get people out walking?
Absolutely. I participate in the remote control vehicle hobby. So essentially what we do is we either buy, build, design, modify these vehicles, typically maybe about a foot long in size. We take them out on hiking trails. We go essentially racing with them. We go competing with them. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So how long have you been into this now?
I've been doing RC vehicles for quite a while. I had some of the cheaper toy grade vehicles, as we call them, when I was a kid. I really enjoyed them, but probably when I was around 12 or 13, I got my first hobby grade vehicle. Now, I got out of it for a couple of years after that, but about 2.5, 3 years ago, I got back into buying and driving the vehicles.
So were you doing a lot of this back in Colorado?
I was doing it for a little while back in Colorado, but I didn't have as big of a group of people that I knew participated in it as I do here. Mostly in Colorado, I was going out on hikes by myself and with one other friend who had some of the vehicles.
So you must have had some interesting terrain to work with back there.
Oh, absolutely. I always love going to any new trail because the type of rocks and the different types of dirt and everything on the trails will lead to different driving conditions for your vehicle. So you have to be you really have to know your vehicle and how it handles in different situations.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, how exactly did you get into this in the first place?
I always liked cars as a kid. I always enjoyed vehicles, and I think the biggest thing that really got me specifically into the heavy-duty hobby grade remote control vehicles was our local hobby shop in Fort Collins, Hobbytown, USA, did weekly races in their parking lot. So they would take over their entire parking lot and use PVC pipes and turn it into a racetrack with a couple little jumps and things, and that was on the main road in Fort Collins, so we'd always see it driving by, and I always wanted to stop in and check it out, so I just started going to that store all the time and eventually just had to have one.
Wow. So, prior to that, were you and your family or friends, were you doing a lot of hiking, on its own?
We did go out on hikes pretty often. I'd say more than hiking, we were a biking family. My family always really loved biking, either on-road biking or off-road biking, mountain biking.
So there was definitely that urge to be outside being active, which makes sense, I guess. Less being stuffed in a gymnasium and more getting that fresh air and being out. So did you find that, that was, when you're younger, it's hard to be as mindful of it, but, was there a lot of, positive feeling from being outside and breathing in that Colorado air?
Oh, absolutely. And in Colorado, we have over 300 days of sun a year, too. So
Lucky.
Basically every day is a bright, blue, sunny day. It is always amazing to be outside in that.
Oh, you're killing me just thinking about it.
Oh,
I've always wanted to go
there.
to Colorado.
You should absolutely sometime.
I know that you run a club. How often do you guys link up?
Well, I'm an admin of the local Facebook group, RC Republic, and we don't have any official group gatherings that we do weekly. But every other week we go on hikes. So we take a couple of our vehicles out, and usually we'll have a group of 10, 15, sometimes up to 20 people. Where we go out on a 3 or 4 hour hike, exploring any of the local trails nearby. We tend to go down to some of the kitty vitty trails a lot since they're nearby.
Nice. So do you have consistent new people joining in the Facebook group?
Pretty regularly, yeah, and especially whenever we do an event, we'll get a good burst of people joining.
Right, and we'll get into that in a minute because I know you've got a lot to say about your weekend.
Absolutely, it was a blast.
Back to the trucks themselves. You build them yourself. How'd you get into actually building them? I know that you said that you got your first hobby kit. So what was the direction that you took when you started building?
Really, when you start out in the hobby, you'll usually buy a kit that's ready to run, we call them. Essentially, it comes with basically everything you need to get on the go. You just turn it on and go. And from that, usually, it's all these vehicles are very modifiable, so you'll be able to buy upgrades for it, fix parts on them, and every single part on it you can buy separately. So when you're out on a trail or doing a jump that might be too big for you, you'll break apart. So you'll have to take it apart, fix that in, and when you're in there, you might